I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 9, and today we set up the ultimate crushing facility for our ore processing needs. So I hope you guys are ready. Right at the beginning of the episode, I want to mention that this is not a server-friendly setup by any means. Well, not even client-friendly. Let's be fair. The chunk destroyer that you see behind me, when max upgraded, it will absolutely tank your TPS, your ticks per second. It will destroy them. Normally you want to maintain 20, but with this running, I'm averaging like 12 TPS. So I ran a profile and it all led back to this thing. So just something to keep a note whenever setting up what we're going to be doing today. But on to the awesome. So welcome back to some more All the Mods 9, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about item logistics, and we are going to be beefing up our item production. And this is going to require all the stuff that we've set up basically prior to this episode in order to complete. This is going to be a huge, and I mean huge, undertaking. So hopefully you guys are ready for this. Now, if you missed last episode, let me go over a little bit of a recap. So we got into occultism, and this right here is a demon from occultism, and it's more than just your normal entity. What it can do is it can take a raw ore, for example, not ones from Gregstar, I don't believe. Actually, it might. No, it does not. So from like any normal raw ore, right? So for example, like gold, right? And we have a gold block, and it can actually process gold blocks as well. So if I put a gold block in here, it's going to crush this, and then the dust should end up right down here in the barrel. And what I had set up was I placed it inside of this too wide area. It takes a little bit of damage at first. We can of course always heal it, but it's actually pretty fast, and we can place the items in here, right? And we place the gold in here, and normally if you have it contained, it will actually stay inside of this area. So I have a plan with this guy. Now, right now it of course escaped, and that's sort of a problem that we have to deal with. And when it's inside of this place, for example, when it's tucked away in here, there's a little bit of a problem. It takes damage, and you also can't really build around it either because it takes up this place. But I do have a way around that, and that's by using building gadgets. So even if a mob is in here, building gadgets will place blocks in the area, meaning that we can encase this, much like we'd be able to do with a piston. We can actually encase this mob with the building gadgets and keep it in a single location, allowing this to work. And so the way that it's supposed to work is when we have multiple items going in, if we have a filter, for example, I have an attribute filter that has the dust in here, and I've scrolled through it, and I have it set to forge dust gold, and I've applied that, and only allowing things that are dust to be allowed through here. If I apply this filter in this, we should be able to put the gold in here. And now this guy's going to want to run over here, but notice it only puts one item at a time. And so this is how this guy is going to work. So we can send items into this barrel, and only one at a time will be able to be allowed in. Of course, they will hold 64 items and continue crushing, and then the crush results will go down into this barrel, sort of minimizing the amount of entities that are going to be in the world at one given moment. There should only ever be one item floating above these funnels. And this was kind of an interesting idea. I was like, I've automated this in many different ways, but this way was something that I thought was kind of revolutionary. But like I'd mentioned, there is one thing to overcome. When it's in this block space, it's pretty hard to deal with. You have to place it in when there's nothing around it. And to be able to fill this in, we can take cobble and we can try and place, right? But you'll notice I can't actually place here. I'm clicking, but nothing's happening. But we can actually place it in with the building gadget. So that is something to keep in mind, and it doesn't take damage, as you can see, but the building gadget will let you physically place it in, even if you can't because of the entity restrictions. So that is how we're going to essentially automate the ore crushing of all of our resources. Now, I also need to make more of these things because as of right now, I only have one. So I will need more of these crusher demons. And these things, the myriad crusher, they don't require too much to make, especially if you got the B set up. And so like I said, if you missed last episode, be sure to check that out. So that way you'll find out how to get all of these resources to be able to make this thing, because this crusher crushes at 6 times. So it is going to take one ore and give you 6 ingots basically worth from one raw ore. That's more than I believe anything else in the pack can do. So this is 100% worth setting up. And I have 20 of these. So we have our few over here and a few over here. The exact same setup from the other side where we have all of our simulation chambers. But over here, I have it set up so that way we have our barrels. And then I have the spaces for all of my cables to go through here. And that's what's going to make this amazing. Once we get all of this set up, we also need to figure out how we're going to accept the items. And all of this is being done before we even think about actually farming the resources. Because as soon as we start thinking about farming the resources and we get that set up, we're going to end up backed up for sure. Now, making multiple of the crushers so we don't spend a whole lot of time, it's probably going to be best if I use a time in the bottle on the actual platform, max it out, and then I should be able to place it in. It does say I'm missing a skull. So I just wasted a lot of time by doing that, but there we go. So now we should see that is going to work, and then it summons one, and then we should be able to place another one in and just kind of move them out of the way. And we're going to end up with a whole lot of them. We need 19 exactly. So I will keep spawning these bad boys in. And yeah, they are infinite, by the way, on their time that they stay in the world. So goodness, it's a party now. Now, when placing these guys in, I got to be kind of careful and specific. They are going to take a little bit of damage when they first get placed in. And we don't want to drop any items on the ground because these guys will try to pick them up, meaning they will leave their current post in order to do that. So now for the fun parts, I get to actually encase all of these things. And so, yes, I want to get in here, but I don't want to budge them like this. So this is where this tool actually has a vertical column. And so I should be able to set it to vertical column and 3, and that is exactly the height that I want, meaning I don't have to get in here and move these guys like I actually just did. So if I do move them, I have to pick them back up and then resituate them back into the middle. And then I'm actually using a hill spell from ours just to top them off, even though I don't think that's necessary 100%. So here we go. All we got to do is place this in and notice the magic. These guys it just works. Be careful, don't accidentally place it right in the center, but all we got to do is this, and it's going to encapsulate them just like I want. And then I'm also going to place glass in front of them, just like so as well. Oh, this is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I already put my filters inside of these, so these are just about ready to go as soon as we have everything else in place. Now this place is looking so cool. We have all of these demons in here that are going to be crushing for us, almost like they're like in a test tube, which I really like the idea of. Oh, this is sick. So with all of that kind of situated and set up, we can now start to think about how we're going to store our items. Because if this is producing a ton of items and we're using a quarry to, for example, mine the items, we need a place to store the product. And that is going to be, I think, here. So I have a storage drawer room that I set up underneath here. It's a couple blocks below. And I have my storage controller. So we are going to need to get our refined storage over here to tap into that. And I'm going to do that from the top. And we will have access to this. But the way we send items to this is a whole other thing. And I've shown this multiple times, and it's definitely not the best way to do this on a server. But in a single player world, this is great. What we can do is take an ender chest, for example. Let's just for right now, let's just use a chest. But we will be using an ender chest. And we are going to use a laser IO node. And all we have to do is place the node right here. And then let's assume this is our ender chest. And this is the exact same way that we are technically farming our mystical agriculture essence. But that ender chest, this is where we're going to send all of our finished product. And then that finished product will then go into the storage controller, which is going to be linked to all of these drawers. And these drawers will be locked at first. So this is going to be a way to technically store all of these resources quickly. And we'll kind of create this sort of buffer between our main storage, which has limited storage space, by the way. We don't have infinite storage on this. And this will make it so we basically have infinite storage, because these drawers can hold way, way more of a single item than I could ever want to produce for our refined storage. Now, for getting all the resources out of these furnaces, which the dust will end up going directly into a furnace to be processed, I am going to be doing it this way. I'm going to use the ultimate logistical transporters. Now, I don't recommend using max tier pipes, for example, if you're on a server. And I like to mention this. Servers, yeah, using max anything on a server will eventually cause problems. So just something to keep in mind. But there are many other options that you could use, and maybe you don't need max tier for this setup. I think in this case, though, these particular pipes are the easiest to use because of the ease of sort of setting up max extracts. So all I have to do is just go through here and just set these. I don't have to put any items inside or anything like that, which you have to do with some of the other types of pipes. So this is just nice and convenient. So that is going to be my main insert chest. So just right here, this is going to be my other ender chest that is going to be pulled from. So I did set this to cyan to kind of match the sort of cyan theme that we got going everywhere in the main base. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention why we're even doing this in the first place. And I like to preface this every episode in case you're just now joining in. And that is because we're working towards the All the Mod Star, but not just one of them. We are working towards making 18 All the Mod Stars. And that means we're going to need a ton of resources. And there are multiple different ways that we can produce these resources. And I think a quarry is definitely going to add to one of the best ways to gather a bunch of said resources. Also, some things that we're going to need a lot of resources for are going to be these storages. And I think using the fluid storage is going to be the best, but it still requires quite a few items. Not only that, there are tons of other things in this list that just require a ton of raw resources, if not to just get the machines up and running. And so that is why I'm setting this whole mass processor up. Now on the laser IO port connected to the ender chest, we have our item card set to extract, and with we have card overclockers, we have 64 every tick item transfer rate. And then that is going to send those items to an item card that's in send mode going into the storage controller. Now we do need to get our storage controller all locked up before we start sending any items in. So that way we can look into our drawer here, and then we can start to sort of organize what needs to be organized. And so with our linking card in hand, we can shift right click and we can see the range, and all of this should fit within range. It's actually just perfect within range. And then we can go ahead and select all of our storage here and get them all linked into the main storage, just like so. And then I can't forget to lock it. So with this in lock tool or lock mode, I'm just going to click it and it locks all of the drawers for us. Now, there will definitely be new storages added to this in the future, and you can definitely place them in before adding them to the controller. Make sure you lock them beforehand, otherwise you're going to end up with a mess. Now, a quick tip when doing this, what you can actually do is place your configurator tool in locking mode and put it in your offhand. And whenever you place a drawer, it will actually lock it automatically for you. Just a nice little tip. Now, to link this storage into a refined storage system, I'm going to use an external storage, but this is going to be a little different than how I've used it before. This one is actually going to receive a higher priority than everything else, because anything going into the system that is going to be in this list, I want it to actually try and send it to this storage right here first, before then putting it into our main system. And so we want to make sure that this is on both insert and extract mode and is perfectly working. And having that higher priority should mean that anything that is running through the system should try to be inserted here first. Now, to set up the processing on the top, this one's going to be a little bit more confusing, I think, because I can't show it fully just yet, but we will be able to here momentarily. I will have my ender chest that is placed in right here. This is on a red channel, and it is maxed out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send blocks of raw resources to this from our other system or from our quarry, right? And so this is going to only receive items that I want it to receive, that are going to pull out of our quarry chest. So what I want to do here is I want to round robin distribute all of these into all of these barrels that we see up top. And so to round robin, there is one mod that is actually really good at round robining, and that is universal pipes. So we can set it to round robin and have all of the universal pipes connected up with only one exporter, which will be really nice. And we definitely want it to round robin, and round robin means it's going to send to every chest equally. So if this chest just received an item, then this one's going to receive the item next, and this one's going to receive it next and next and next and next. And then it will continue around in loop and do the whole thing again, making sure that all of the items are evenly distributed. Now, up to this point, I've sort of held off on using the pipes. And the reason that I've held off on using the pipes so much is because they can be pretty resource demanding. So compared to many other pipes, if you're using like ultimate upgrades and stuff like that, they can be kind of demanding. And also, I'm just not the biggest fan of how they actually look. I really like these ultimate pipes, but all of the other ones having these super bright colors, yeah, and not being able to facade them is kind of, it just doesn't fit my build style. Which, yeah, I know. What a weird thing to talk about, right? But I do like the way these dark ones look. So I want to put these all the way down here, and I'm going to route them straight down and onto the back of every single one of these drawers. Now, as you can see, this is very tricky business because this guy starts to take damage because I accidentally bumped him through the in-betweens of the blocks. This is very finicky. And to be able to place this guy back in, I have to be very careful because I'm also going to bump these guys, meaning I might have to redo the entire setup here. I hope that's not the case. I mean, once I have this all in, it's just sort of set it and forget it, right? I shouldn't have to worry about it ever again. Oh man, but if you did spread these apart, you could technically put them in their own little chambers instead of being in a one block space. So now for that round robin part that I was talking about, I'm just going to use an advanced pipe upgrade. I don't think we need anything fast for sending the items out to this. So 32 items every 5 ticks is pretty fast still. And then we should be able to set this to round robin, just like that. So it should automatically pull out anything that is inside of this chest, and that is going to distribute that to all of the inventories it's connected to. Now for each of these furnaces, I'm going to go ahead and put the factory upgrade so it can receive power. And it's definitely more than enough for whatever this is going to be producing. But the fact that it is incredibly fast and also uses power and is not too expensive is really nice. Now with all of these set up now, we should be able to take something like raw gold and test this out. So I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to work. And what we should be able to do is up here, I should be able to put the raw gold in and everything should work. Let me turn my magnet off. That's another thing. We're gonna have to put magnet things in here to make sure that we don't have anything going on. And we're seeing that this is putting it in and instantly being smelted up. And what we should see is that down here, we should have gold ingots. Oh my goodness, in here. And that was just from like a stack of gold. I don't even think that was a stack of gold. Oh goodness, this is going to be fast. So now with a storage section of multiple common items, I went ahead and looked through all of the ingots and searched by all the mods and made sure that we had everything formatted correctly. This should be good, at least as a starting point. And I have the diamonds here because what we're also going to do is from our quarry, which we're about to get into, I'm going to be sending items into this ender chest as well. Very specific items such as redstone, coal, diamonds, and any of the other resources that it's going to find in the mining dimension. And all of that leads me to this, which is going to be how we're actually going to sort of ramp up our actual miner, which is the chunk destroyer. Now, this is interesting that you see right here, but we can technically autocraft with this. All we have to do is make a recipe. For example, I made this this pattern and place it into the crafter, and it will place the items into the workbench whenever we request a craft. And so I made the enchantment mover, and this thing's kind of cool. It allows us to actually enchant our chunk destroyer as if it wasn't already powerful enough. Now to use this enchanter, I've gone ahead and enchanted a pickaxe because this is how we need to do this. We need to put it on a pickaxe. Now I went ahead and over enchanted this because I want to see if this works. If not, we can always pull the enchants off of this tool. But what I want to test out is by placing the chunk destroyer here, I can take this pickaxe and I should be able to assign the different enchants off of this pick onto here. Now I don't know how many levels we can go up. I think it's maxed out at the vanilla levels. And so there we go. We have, yeah, we basically pulled off the enchants from this and applied it directly here. So we have Fortune 3, Unbreaking 3, and Efficiency 3. I have no idea what Unbreaking does. I would assume Efficiency would either make it faster or make it use less power, and Unbreaking possibly use less power. But Fortune, we definitely know what it does, and Fortune is what's going to make this thing ridiculous. I mean, to be fair, the Chunk Destroyer is already ridiculous in itself. And by the way, if you're wondering how to get the enchants off, I know I've showed this before, But all you have to do is take the pickaxe or take any equipment that has the enchants, toss some books on it as well, and just drop an anvil on it. And it will give you all of the enchants and give you the tool back. So now I have the tools for the ultimate quarry, but I'm still missing one thing. And that is, how are we going to store the items that this quarry is going to produce? Because it produces a lot of them. And I have just the solution. And that's going to be this combo right here. A netherite shulker box with 3 tier 4 stack upgrades and an advanced compacting upgrade. And this advanced compacting upgrade should be what actually makes this thing insane. Now, the other cool part is that if we have this shulker completely filled with items, we can honestly still move it. And that is incredibly important. No packing tape needed for this one. Well, I guess this is the moment of truth. Now for one of the most insane things. I've gone ahead and went way far out. So we're not interacting with anything we've already done. And inside of the mining dimension, I'm going to be setting this quarry up. And this is where we need to sort of change things a little bit here. And I need to figure out just how far we actually need to go. Let's see. I definitely want it to be pushed in front like that. And then we can extend this out. Let's do like, I don't know, 16 chunks that way, 16 chunks this way. And how about 16 chunks in the other direction as well? Might as well. Now, we don't really need anything else. And I guess chunk by chunk should probably be enabled. I'm not quite sure actually what that all does. Nor do many of these other settings or the modules. The modules, I think this can accept some other sort of things like that affect pumping and stuff like that. But this is a big area. It's quite large. I'm going to place this box on top, just like that, and then put my upgrades in. And this is going to hold a lot of items. By default, the compacting upgrade should be good. But now we need to give it power. And I'm going to probably limit this to 500,000 for now, so it doesn't shut down all of our power network. Connect it to main, and then hit start, and possibly put a lever on here. I don't know if the lever will make this work, but it is consuming power, and I would assume that it is working. You can see it's placing down all of the things. This is huge. This is massive. The area that it is in is massive. And I don't know if this, I mean, I know this will probably need to be chunk loaded, but I don't know if the other parts of this actually need to be chunk loaded or not. I think just simply this one chunk that this is in needs to be chunk loaded, and it is just going. This is going to be ridiculous to watch. Okay, so I do want to try and find where it is at least working from, and also make sure these chunks have been generated at least once. And right here, we can see this working. Chunk by chunk, it is tearing this whole thing apart and should be storing every resource that this is generating. That, holy smokes, is going to be a lot, and is doing that so fast. And I don't know if it could probably go faster. I don't know if it's actually capping out on the amount of power that we're giving it, because I'm giving it up to 500,000, but I don't know if it's necessarily using that much. And we've got to check out this box, because this is a lot of stuff going on right here. And holy smokes, you can see right here, the redstone blocks are all being compacted. All of the ores, by the way, are being compacted into raw forms. And that's what we want, because I want to send these out and to be processed. And this is going to be a lot. So now's the time where I need to start working on that. And I should probably get my pipe set up, or laser IO, to pull the very specific raw versions of these materials out to be processed in our crusher setup. Now, on each of the main insert cards, this is where we're going to want to set up our basic filters. And the blue cyan here goes to our main storage, and the red is going to go to the processing. So this is where I want to take the raw versions that we're seeing here in this, and I want to use the block form because the crusher can use the block form, and I want to crush each of these down. Now, with that compacting upgrade, I think what we might want to do is we can actually block certain things. For example, I could block redstone from being compacted. I can also block emeralds from being compacted, and probably diamonds from being compacted as well. And also lapis. We definitely want lapis to probably be blocked. And I think this in block mode should allow it to now just build up and actually not compress. And that would be good because I actually want to send the raw form of these into that system. So perfect. We'll set the allow filter on that. And then over here, we will actually set our allow filter for this. And then all I have to do is kind of turn this on and hope that everything works. So for that, we're going to need some cards, and we'll take an item card here and an item card here, and we are going to have to upgrade these. But connected to this, we just set this to extract. And right now this is sending the block form out. And then over here, we'll set this to extract as well. And then that should be sending the items into this. So now back at the base with all of the upgrades in, we can start to see that things are building up just the way we would want them to, and should be all getting smelted up, or at least that's the goal. Probably just happening so fast I can't even see it. Ah, there it goes. So yeah, it's a little bit slower, I think, with the block form, but if we were sending individual ingots, it would be impossible. And so with this, we have set up, I would call the ultimate ore processing solution. And my goodness, is this working? It is playing catch up a little bit. But if we take a look down here, thousands of blocks are now being produced, and it's just a matter of seconds, like minutes really. Already at 13,000 aluminum, because that's what it started processing first. Oh boy, and it's going to start filling these things up very quickly as well. And so with this, I think I have come up with the ultimate processing setup. This thing is crazy. I know I could be just immediately smelting the items, and that would be very, very fast. And instead of making it 6 times out of this, but this produces so much. And that's what this mod pack's all about. As much as you can produce, just keep making more and more. And well, I think we've done that. Now, this also sort of solves another problem, as we also need instone. So this is also farming instone. Unfortunately, the quarry voids everything else like dirt and netherrack, but I set up a regular builder to farm netherrack with the compacting upgrade, and it is working just fine. Now our only other main limitations are going to be obsidian, diamonds, but we should have many of those just from our essence. So guys, if you enjoyed this build and you enjoyed this setup, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, especially if you'll learn something new today. As I know, I do typically share tons of tips and tricks. So if you did find one of those useful, like I said, click that subscribe button, and also give this video a huge thumbs up. Comment down below. What do you think I could have done differently? And how would you set this up? Is there any other interesting ways you would have done it? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And well, guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Toenails. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. Oh, I thank you guys so very much. I hope to see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.